This is Newington Church. Apparently, many hundreds of years ago, they were having a bit of a thing with their bells. They were merrily playing their bells, as churches are wont to do, maybe to commemorate a christening or a wedding, or it was a Sunday, or they're just marking the time. Unfortunately for them, in the local area, there was one very annoyed person. That was the devil, Lucifer himself. He was trying to get up to his old devilish tricks, or doing whatever he does on a daily basis, and he couldn't concentrate because of the noise of the bells. So he stormed his way to the church to meet the warden. The devil was so annoyed with the bells, they asked the church warden, possibly politely, possibly impolitely, not sure, just to pack it in. The church warden said no. That was kind of what he did. He rang bells. So the devil got so annoyed, he tried to push down the whole tower. He pushed, and he pushed, and he pushed. He used all of his little devilish might, but alas, he could not push it down. It's said that the devil placed a curse on the land, and nothing grew here, and the crops withered on the vine, and the land was lashed with rain, and all sorts of freakish weather. So he climbed the bell tower itself on a night which was lashed with lightning and rain. And he tore down the bells and placed them in a sack that he happened to have. And then he was climbing down the tower. Unfortunately, maybe because of the rain, or maybe because he wasn't used to climbing, he fell. And the bells tumbled off into a nearby stream. The devil himself landed with a crash on a stone. That's how the story goes anyway. It's a nice story, but that's clearly nonsense. After all, there's no actual physical remains of a devil landing from up high onto a hard surface. Oh wait, what's this? The devil stone. And clearly we can see, is that a bit of a hoof print there? That's what people say. This is the stone which the devil landed on, having fallen from the tower. And what's this? The devil on the weather vane of the church? Oh no, it's the dragon. Same thing though. So that's the end of the story. The devil had got his wish. No more bells. He could concentrate on whatever he was doing before. Not for the villagers, because they'd lost all of their lovely sounds emanating from their bell tower. So what were they going to do? There was a bit of confusion. But what should they see across the field? It was a witch. Luckily for them, there was a passing witch, possibly recognisable by her massive warty nose, cat, broomstick, etc. Who knows? And the witch said, "Don't worry, I know the solution. You need 4 white cows to pull the bells from the river." And lo, they found their 4 cows, and they attached them to the bells in the river, and they heaved, and they heaved, only for a small urchin to point out, "Hey, one of those cows has got a black patch behind its ear," at which point the rope snapped and the bells were lost for good. Myth number 1. Apparently if you strike a stone on this stone, there'll be a big thwack. Not going to try it. Myth number 2. If you're looking for some good luck, apparently what people used to do was walk around it 3 times with their finger on it, and that would give you good luck. There's not much room now. Apparently the bells fell in this river, right?
What?
And myth number 3 is, well, when Satan dropped them from his sack. And myth number 3 is, if you see any bubbles in the river, that's the bells kind of tolling away underneath the water. Can we see any bubbles?
I can see a ripple.
A ripple there? Is that could be the bells under there? Anywhere else?
I think the bells
There's a ripple there as well.
I think the bells might be buried under the earth, which is under the water.
Maybe.
Oh look, there's a ripple over there.
Ripple over there?
It looks like bubbles.
Could be a frog. Who knows?
Well, it's probably the pipe.
It is right near to a pipe.
But look,
A pipe or
Yeah.
a pike?
Pipe.
Oh.
No, there's a pipe.
Oh.
There's not enough water for a pipe.
Oh. This historic Devil's Stone was removed from the corner of Church Lane and placed here in AD 1936. As the plaque says, this has been moved before, I couldn't find much detail on that anywhere else, other than weirdly in the Barrier Minor, which is a New South Wales paper in 1940. No idea why they were reporting on this. Who knows? Anyway, they said it was moved because of problems it was causing congestion-wise as more cars were chugging through the town. So they said, and I quote, 3 years ago, 2 steam tractors tore up the large stone in Church Lane. Workers took it to a quiet spot outside the church. Rain fell heavily, and a crowd of onlookers heard the thunder roar as the stone came loose. School children with fingers crossed sang hymns, for on the stone is the impression of a cloven hoof, and the words, "Cursed be he who moves my stone." And so it was that the crops which Newington relied on for a living were ruined. But by 1940 the crops had begun to regrow and everything was, according to the newspaper, better again. One local was said to declare, "We have outlived the devil's curse." The people of Newington might have been a bit preemptive in their thoughts that the curse was over, because this was 1940 when the paper was published. And soon enough the Nazis would have crushed the French, and the Blitz was beginning, and bombs did fall on Newington despite its tiny size. But by 1944 everything seemed to be much better. The sun was high in the sky on an August day, the Allies had landed in France, D-Day had been completed successfully. It was surely only a matter of time before the war was over, and no one was thinking of the devil's curse anymore. And Margaret House got on a train and headed back to her workplace.
We could see far and wide soon after leaving Rainham Station. On the left were open fields and it was summer. Then suddenly there was much excitement and shouting, with passengers pointing into the sky. We could all then see the flying bomb coming down closer and closer to us, almost chasing us and getting bigger. Everyone was looking at it through the windows of the train.
The Nazis had created vengeance weapons, the V1, known as the Doodlebug, to the people of England. These were meant to swing the war in the Nazis' favour, which seemed a bit unlikely, but they had cost thousands and thousands of slave labourers' lives constructing them. When they first came over Kent, the RAF were at a loss to know what to do with them. They used anti-aircraft weapons against them, but that didn't really seem to work. They tried zooming in behind them and shooting them, but that meant you had to go through the explosion. And then one bright spark had the idea of if you could get underneath the wing, you could tip them, and they could just send them into a field, and they'd explode there. No problem. Lieutenant John Malloy was scrambled from here, RAF Westmoreland, which is now called King's Hill. And he sped his way across the Kent countryside until he was managed to intercept the V1 rocket in his Hawker Tempest aircraft, and he got it just underneath the wing of the V1, tipped it, and it went flying off, unfortunately heading towards the bridge where the train was about to pass.
The jolt of the crash knocked everyone over and along the entire length of the corridor and around the corner of the carriage gangway. There must have been an almighty explosion. We were in the nearest carriage to the yawning gap where the bridge had been and the bomb crater beneath it, but maybe not the last carriage of the train. The locomotive had flown across the gap and many of the following carriages had crashed down into it.
But surely there's no connection between that massively unlikely series of events that led to the deaths of 8 people, with 20 more being seriously wounded, with the moving of the Devil's Stone some 8 years earlier. There can't be any links there. I don't think anyone's going to be moving it anytime soon though. If you've enjoyed this video and would like to learn more, then click on the link below. You'll find a reading list. If you'd like any other topics or time periods or people covered, then pop them in the comments. Thank you very much. You've been watching Kentish Tales and Tales of Kent.